It's time we talk about male-centered female friends. For a while, I've been wanting to talk about this, but I've always felt that by the time I want to talk about this, I want to approach it in a way that doesn't come across like I'm being too hard on women. Oftentimes in my messages, I get women saying that I'm too harsh and that I'm being unrealistic in some of the things I say pertaining to my expectations of men and also how I think that women should better carry themselves. And if you are new to this podcast, I really want to make it clear that my style is not hand holding. You might be used to hand holding, which essentially means having your ego pampered and being told that everything is going to be okay, sealed with a forehead kiss. Everything is actually not going to be okay if you carry on the way you're doing, especially if you are male-centered. The reason I say everything is not going to be okay if you carry on as you are is because being male-centered is incredibly costly. And whilst we might think, oh, I'm just a nice person, no kindness is ever truly wasted in the grand scheme of the universe because karma rewards kindness. I want to tell you that you're wrong. And I don't want to be that person that's like trying to disassemble a fundamental belief here, but I might need to be that person for the next 30 seconds in what I'm about to say, which is that if karma existed and if good people were rewarded for overextending themselves in the lives of men, do you think the world would look the way it does? Answer quickly. Because it's oftentimes the male-centered women who love this idea of karma carrying out vengeance for them to make up for what they've lost in being too available to men. The reason why I don't necessarily believe in karma is because if karma existed, then all men would wake up somehow magically with no penises as their punishment for being patriarchal misogynists. Because if karma was the system that we are all running our decisions by, then surely men would behave different. If karma existed, men would behave like it existed. But not to spend too long on karma. Why I'm talking about karma in the context of male-centered female friends is because a lot of the women who are the most male-centered, they tend to have this outlook that doesn't necessarily hold up in the real world. And what I mean by that is they tend to think that if they're just really, really nice and over available and way too helpful, they will somehow be rewarded with a man who is going to reflect all of that kindness. And part of that reward will be them being eternally loved, eternally accepted, and forever understood. Where have you seen that happen? When you look around you and you observe the women who have been the most male-centered, especially the aunties, where have you seen them get their reward that they thought they were going to reap? There are no rewards for being male-centered. And you might be wondering, well, what does it mean to be male-centered? To be male-centered means to be a pickme. To be a pickme means to be the type of woman who... I'm laughing as I say this because it's so ridiculous. But to be a pickme is to be the type of woman who will do whatever it takes to be acceptable in a man's eyes. Even if that means compromising on her own core values, even if that means her betraying herself or even betraying her friends, even if that means her choosing a negligent, indifferent, abusive man over her own company. I find that male-centered women make me incredibly uncomfortable to be around. And the discomfort comes from being hyper aware of just how ready they are to jump ship for male validation. I see it happen across age groups. I'll be forgiving though towards the ones who are in late teenage / super early 20s, cut-off point being 22 years old. I can forgive that age period for being male-centered because you really don't know any better. And majority of the media you consume does push this idea that the last infinity stone left to collect is a man who loves you. And if you haven't collected that infinity stone, then what a wasted life. What a sad little life, Jane. I want to give the younger women some slack because you guys are yet to be burned in the way you need to be burned to see what you need to see. And I don't really want to be that person who has to believe that in order to learn an important lesson that you need to really be burned. There are certain lessons, that you don't need to learn by having first-hand experience. A word should be enough for the wise. But the problem with that saying is most of us are not wise. No. So unfortunately, many of us, including myself, I've done my time. Many of us will have to get burned to see why that shit don't work. I used to be very male-centered back in my day. 84 years ago. 84 years ago. No, I'm joking. In my earlier 20s / late teens, I used to be very male-centered. I still shudder and cringe and feel incredibly sickened to my core at what I used to do for male validation. Oh my God. If only the girl I was at 20 years old knew who I was going to be at 30 years old. Yo, listen, I used to be so male-centered, that the idea of men giving me compliments for how I looked would be the motivator to get me out of bed in the morning. Like, I used to wear the shortest of shorts to college. So in the UK, college is age 16 to 18. And then we have university afterwards. I used to wear the shortest of shorts, the Jeffrey Campbell Lita heels. Do you guys remember the Jeffrey Campbell Lita platform heels? I don't know how I was doing that. I don't know how I was clearing a 6-hour school day in like 5-6 inch platform boots. I don't know what I was doing, but I was doing it and I did it very well. I enjoyed my period of being male-centered. Even though it wasn't serving me, I enjoyed the idea of it. I enjoyed the validation. I enjoyed knowing that men found me attractive, even if those men weren't doing anything for me, even if those men were using me as a temporary ego stroke to repair the loss of another woman's attention that they were yearning for. Because that's really how these men see male-centered women. They just see you as a quick source of validation. It's like when you go to buy water, you're not going to spend 5 minutes in the water aisle deliberating intently on which water brand to buy. You're just going to pick up the water and be going. Most times you pick up the one that's most convenient for you to buy, whether that's price, convenience, whether that's the size of the bottle, whether it's a brand that you're used to, but you're not about to be spending 5 minutes being, should I pick the Voss water or the Evian water? Decisions. You're just going to grab your water and go. That's the same way men view the women who are low-hanging fruit, aka the male-centered women. They don't value you guys. Just so you know, being male-centered will not get you any closer to the heaven that you think is waiting for you on the other side of the pearly gates. just want to let you know that being male-centered will actually take you closer to your death than being the complete opposite. And what is the opposite of male-centered? What would we even call that? Because if we're being very literal in this analysis, then the complete opposite of a male-centered woman would be a staunchly radical feminist woman who is completely averse to dating. I don't necessarily put myself in the category of like staunch feminist woman who is completely averse to dating. I would definitely say I'm a feminist, even though many people would try and argue that I am not a feminist because they don't like the fact that I talk about money, because they're too scared to ask for money and they're calling it, what do they call it? Anti-capitalism. Just say you're scared of rejection. Anyway, the reason why I don't identify necessarily as a staunch feminist is because a lot of the staunch feminists are also, how do I phrase it? Because I'm not going to say they're pick-me's either, but like their ideologies give broke men too much slack and too much encouragement to go for what they don't deserve. Like them staunch feminists be like, I'm an anti-capitalist, therefore I really strongly believe that we should make love accessible to all. Actually, no, love should not be accessible to all. Certain men don't deserve to be loved, actually. The only people who should love them is their moms who gave birth to them. And even then, there are mothers who have turned away from their sons because their sons are insufferable pieces of misogynistic shit. That man is a shit smear, okay? He doesn't deserve your love just because he's a human being. That's the problem that I find. So no, I don't fit with the staunch feminist title. I'm quite close though, but I'm not there because there are a lot of staunch feminists who don't even like my work. Try to tell me I'm not a feminist. Shut up, bruv. If you are laying with men for free, I have to give you a deep side eye because you should know better. If reparations is part of your politic, then you shouldn't be laying with men for free. Next. But why I deeply fear male-centered women is because they will betray their fellow women for a man, Do you know what a setup chick is? In the UK, there is something called a setup chick. I'm sure that a similar thing applies elsewhere, like in the States, but maybe you guys don't call it a setup chick. But if the title doesn't already give it away, a setup chick is a girl who works with gang members to set people up. Sometimes she might set up another girl. Sometimes she might set up a guy. Usually it'll be like a love triangle situation, or she'll play the role of being in love with a guy so she can, lower his guard and unfortunately get him set up. The women who set up other women, those are the typical example of male-centered women who will betray women just so they can get closer to a man, so they can get more of that male acceptance and validation. I really want to know what all this validation and acceptance from men is doing for you guys. Because it's not paying you. I would understand if a woman is a pick-me and she's making money off it. But men don't pay pick-me's. The closest you're getting to being a paid pick-me is a wife. And even then, I don't consider a man paying the bills of the house you're living in, you being paid, because he was going to pay the bills anyway. If he was living by himself, he would have still had the same bills to pay. His bills are probably increased by 40%, 30%. But he still would have paid his bills. Women who are dying to be a wife one day. Can I ask, why are you running? Why are you running? I really want to know what's going on over there, because that's another version of male-centeredness. You're in a hurry to be someone's wife. Why? Because you lot ain't even marrying for the benefits you're supposed to marry for. You men are just marrying so you can say that you're a wife. Is everyone okay? That is the height of male-centeredness, in my opinion, because you're in a hurry to trade your freedom for a lifetime source of being picked. Like the validation of being picked, that's what you're after. Why? Because when we really pick apart this male-centeredness, it actually runs really deep, guys. I've seen women abandon their own children just because they like men too much. And it gets darker than that. There are women who have horrifying stories about their childhood because when these women were children, their mothers would allow certain men into the house, and some of those men would abuse these children. So when I'm talking about male-centeredness and why I hate it so much, this is not just about the girls who are like, oh, I'm not like other girls, I'm different. I'm talking about safeguarding. I'm talking about the reality that being male-centered can cost you your life and the life of those around you. I'm talking about this bullshit Bonnie and Clyde rubbish that all these pick-me's love to peddle. Oh, hold your man down. Hold him down. Meaning, if my man is having a tough time financially, I'm going to step in and hold him down because we're a team. No, we're not. No, we're not. We're not a team. I'm your girlfriend / wife, whatever it is that I am to you. We're not a team in that respect. If you are having financial issues, then sort it out. Because I'm the woman. Guys, this is why we need to have these conversations, because to acknowledge that you've been brainwashed is the first step. I sound like the unhinged person here for saying, no, actually, if my partner is having financial issues, I'm going to give him some words of encouragement and affirmation. I'm going to tell him, you got this. Do you know why I married you? Do you know why I married you? Because you're a go-getter, yeah? You've always been that guy. Now go out there and show the world the guy that I know you to be. Go get that money, king. Yeah? I'm not about to dip into my pockets. I'm not doing that. You couldn't catch me doing that, dead or alive. The reason why is because there's a certain level of irresponsibility that it takes to #lose all your money. And this is the shit that male-centered women love to say, right? When I'm talking about I'm only marrying a man who is going to financially take care of me, their first thought is, what if he loses all his money? Because you guys are not around people who have actually got money and who know how to not just make money, but keep money. Because it's one thing making money. It's another thing keeping money. And keeping money is not just putting it in a bank account and looking at it. No. There's investments. There's having multiple ventures. Okay? You wouldn't know that because you're mingling around men who they're flashing their universal credit money and using it to try and stun you. Or these are the men who, like, they're probably scammers. They're just getting fast money. That's why you're thinking every man who has money will lose his money. Like, it's such a crazy thing. Like, too many people. That's how I know people are brainwashed, because the only point of contact you have with the version of reality where women date men who actually financially take care of them is you just see films. Like, you see these films, yeah, that are written by sour ass, musty, salty men who definitely got left by a woman who moved on to bigger and better. But these salty men will write these storylines and narratives where a poor guy really loves and adores this beautiful woman who is beyond his league. She was born into a family that prioritizes high esteem and status, and he just really, really wants to be with her. But he can't be with her because her family would never accept him. It's like the Aladdin sort of storyline. But we see this a lot, especially in Nigerian Nollywood storylines. That whole like the pauper falls in love with the princess type shit. But yeah, this man who is clearly not of the woman's league, who is punching well above his class, decides that he wants to still punch anyway, which is male delusion. But he decides to punch regardless, yeah? And lo and behold, surprise, surprise, shock, horror, the woman decides to reject him because she meets a man who has got money and who can take care of her. And then you might be wondering, well, what's going to happen next in this story that was written by a salty, bitter man? Well, the woman who left the poor man behind for bigger and better and went on to marry a rich man who took care of her. Guess what happened to the rich man? He lost all his money. And then the woman was humbled because now the man that she married has lost all his money, and now she's going to go back to that poor guy who she rejected years ago, and she's going to be begging him because now that poor guy who she rejected years ago has now found his feet. But then the poor guy decides, you know what? No, I am not going to accept your apology, lady, because when I was down and out, you didn't ride out for me. You didn't stand by me. You left me because I was poor. So take that. And then the story ends. But that's the thing that a lot of women have seen, and they think that that's how life works. They think that if they dare even desire a man who has money, that some sort of karma that only applies to women. Because remember, karma only affects women somehow. Doesn't apply to men, despite all their misogyny and the murdering of women. Somehow men still live happy lives. Anyway, the karma will find you if you dare say that you want to be with a man who will take care of you. The karma will find you, and that man who you chose over the poor, raggedy, entitled man will lose all his money, and you will be humbled. So that's why the male-centered women love this whole idea of like leading with fear. And it's like, look, if you're going to be male-centered, let it benefit you. My thing is, yeah, there are male-centered women who actually make it work for them. A lot of those women, yeah, they're sex workers. Like, many of them are strippers. Many of them, they are so male-centered, yeah, that like they understand how to suck a dick and make a man nut in like 3 minutes because they have studied men. They have studied the male anatomy. You know, they've done their field research, right? They've been active in their research. So they know how to do what it do, right? They know how to get money out of a man because they understand how to appeal to a rapper's ego, an athlete's ego, an actor's ego. They are so male-centered that they understand what role to play in a man's life to get the outcome they require. That's the kind of male-centered I can get behind. Because it's benefiting you. Yeah? If it's not your vocation, if it's not your line of work, you got no business being male-centered. I have never seen a man talk about, oh, we need to decenter women. We need to stop spending so much time focusing on what we can do to make ourselves more appealing to women. We need to stop spending so much time talking about how to sexually pleasure women because women are not sexually pleasuring us. We need to spend less time planning our weddings and wondering what color tuxedo we're going to wear at our weddings. And we should spend more time focusing on our passions like gaming and eating biscuits in the bed. Where do you see that happening? Where do you see men saying that they need to decenter women? You don't see it. Even the incels ain't saying we need to decenter women because women were never centered to begin with. What I see the incels saying is the shit like, oh, fuck these hoes who have an OnlyFans. Yeah, fuck these hoes who think they can demand that a man that they're going to marry is going to look after them. Fuck that. Oh, fuck these hoes who think that they can reject guys for not having money. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't see men talking about let's make a group chat and a community to help ourselves to stop being so obsessed with pleasing women. So if that doesn't help you to stop being male-centered, I don't know what will, girl. I don't know what to say to you. Like, some of you will need to get left behind. Yeah? And at the beginning of this episode, I said that I don't have the patience. I'm not here to handhold. Yeah? A lot of you want your hand held and to be kissed on the forehead and told everything's going to be okay. As long as you're male-centered, everything is not going to be okay. Yeah? You are heading fast in the wrong direction. And it's looking like your brakes ain't working, babe. And you might want to change the oil in that engine. Just saying. Because male-centered in 2025. Have you learned nothing? Oh my God. Oh my God. So if you're wondering, well, I'm male-centered. How do I stop being male-centered? Okay. If I give you my direct and honest answer, promise, do you promise you're not going to hate me? Promise, yeah? Do you promise? Okay, cool. My direct answer, unfiltered, straight from the dome, if you want to stop being male-centered, is recognize and accept that you might not meet the one. Okay? Right, sit with that. I know it's stinging, okay? But you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. It's going to stop stinging very soon, but just sit with that. You might not meet the one. Okay? Why it's important for me to tell you that you might not meet the one is so that you can live your life as though you might not meet the one. And if you live your life as though you might not meet the one, you can focus on building a colorful, fruitful, full life. And then if you happen to meet #the one, guess what? The one is not the ultimate gatekeeper of your joy and happiness and well-being. Yeah? The one is an addition to an already full life because you already living like you ain't going to meet him anyway. Yeah? A lot of people do not like the sound of that, right? Everyone wants to be spoon-fed this idea that, yeah, there's someone out there for you. You know what? If you really decide that you deserve a lot as a woman, there's probably not a man out there who will give you everything you deserve, right? And this is where we have to now visit the concept of dating multiple men. Yes. And if you're, I'm a one-man kind of woman. Well, you know what? May the odds be in your favor because it's looking like you're going to need a lot of luck. A lot of luck. And you won't need luck to find a man. No. It's the luck of surviving the situation you've put yourself in. Because once you declare and swear that you are a one-man kind of woman, that means you're likely to tolerate more. Because you've already told yourself, no, I can only be with one man. No, I'm only going to stay with one man because that's just how I am. What does that's just how I am mean? What does that mean? Why is that just how you are? When did you become that? Because if you became it, it means you can unbecome it. This all probably sounds a bit too radical for you, right? And you probably just want me to say something that's really optimistic and warm. Like, you know what? Yeah, you can be male. Yeah, you can have it all. Yeah, you can be male-centered and still not get taken advantage of by men, I guess. Like, sorry, I'm not here to lie to you. Why would I lie to you? You want to be lied to so bad because everyone in your life has pampered you and lied to you. And that's part of why you're male-centered, because you've been enabled to believe that being male-centered will absolutely get you the outcome that you want. No, it won't. Let me just tell you now, right? The women who I have seen get the kind of outcome that the historians write about, I'm talking women who get palaces built in their name type shit, yeah? Those women are not male-centered. Those women are foul, savage, mean. And I don't mean foul, savage, mean as in being abusive, right? You don't have to be abusive to be assertive. But the women who have had palaces bought in their name and built in their name, the women who have had businesses built in their name, the women who have had properties placed in their name, they didn't get it from being male-centered. So if you think that you being a nice person is going to get you to this happy ending, it's not too late to do a U-turn, babe. I'm just saying, you're not that far out. Okay? There is still time to turn around before you reach the highway of one way. Yeah? I'm very scared of women who are male-centered. I'm very scared of them because you don't love yourself. And someone who doesn't love themselves is a scary person to be around. Yeah? Some of you are very scary. Some of you, yeah, I just have to wish you the best of luck because you're definitely going to need it. You are. Yeah, with the way you're moving, I can see it. I can see it coming for you on the horizon. And I'm not some sort of like glass globe holding oracle who's looking into your future. I'm just going off of basic pattern recognition. Yeah? You know, when something has happened several times and somehow it's been the same outcome that's come from the same decision, yeah, that's called a pattern. Okay? When you know how to recognize a pattern, you don't have to go through the consequence to know that, oh, that's a pattern. I'm not going to enable that to happen. That's how I've gotten to where I've gotten to. This is why I'm thankful for being neurodivergent because my pattern recognition is on 100. I'm telling you right now, yeah, I'm grateful to be where I'm at in my journey because as a former male-centered woman, God, Jesus saves. I feel like I was saved and given a new life where I can get to be the center of my own story once and for all. And I am never leaving the center of my story ever again. There is no man on this planet. There is no man on this planet who can take me out of the center of my story. And I say that 10 toes down, hand on both titties, swearing on my life. You could not. You know, I've been tested because, you know, when you start to declare more for your life, you'll be tested. Okay? You'll be tested not just by hashtag the universe, but you'll be tested by men. Men will test you. And when men are testing you, it's not necessarily like they are testing you as an examination board or that they're testing you to do something with the test. They're just testing you for testing's sake. Because most men will punch well above and see if you have low enough self-esteem to let them. Right? And that's usually the test. Me, I'm so grateful that, like, look, God has placed many temptations in my path and I've kicked them out of the way. I've kicked that nonsense out of the way. I know where I'm going. I'm focused on my journey. I get behind me, Satan. No, I mean it. Like, look, I've had rappers try me. I've had actors try me. I've had musician. I've had it all, guys. Yeah. I've had men really, really try me. And with each man that tries me, I become more and more desensitized to the wanderlust of putting men on a pedestal just because they have a profile. That is the ultimate test for male-centeredness. Because a lot of women, they swear they're not male-centered, then they meet a celebrity and then they just lose all their standards because they're like, oh my God, but this one's different. And oh my God, when will I meet a man like this again? Oh my God, I've got to keep him. You forget that you're the prize. Men rely on you not knowing that you're the prize for them to get access to you, okay? Men need your permission to sleep with you. Men need your permission to know what your pussy feels like and looks like. Men need your permission to be around you. You are the one giving that permission. You have power. You don't have systemic power, but you have interpersonal power. Meaning that, yeah, you unfortunately are going to be part of a marginalized group for the rest of your life if you're a woman. But in your one-on-one interactions with men, there is a power that you can leverage if you know how to use it. But the thing is, what a lot of women try and do, especially the male-centered ones, is they so badly want to be the exception. They so badly want to be the woman that the man changes for. I don't know what is so satisfying about that when there's a man who's already built. A man who you don't have to change him because he already likes women. He already likes you. He already likes being a provider. So when women are talking about why can't you just wait for that man to one day have money? This is one I hear a lot. He's gonna have money one day though. Girl, answer quickly. When is one day? When is one day? Because that's something that really grinds my gears. When I see a woman with a man who he doesn't have it right now. He ain't got it. He can't take care of you right now, but you're hanging on to that one day he's going to. Girl, have you learned nothing from how men behave? These are the same people who will drain you dry until you're a husk of yourself while they are on the come up. And then when they reach the come up that they were coming up to, after years of leeching you dry, they will look at you and be reminded of that time when they were musty, broken, struggling. And they will move on to a woman who is impressed by who they are right now. You're not going to be impressed by the man that you built because that's your hard work. And you're not supposed to be building a man. That's why men leave you after you build them. So all this, he hasn't got money right now, but one day he's going to have money. When is one day? And what makes you think you have that time to waste? Why are you waiting for a man when there's already a man who has it? What one man is building, another man has built. I keep saying this. People are not listening. You don't have the time you think you have. And if the tables are reversed, men will not wait for you. Yeah? Because trust a man to walk into a room and he'll pick the woman that he considers the most attractive. Yeah? He will go as far as picking the woman who other men find attractive because that gives him status. And that boosts his ego. He's not going to pick a woman he finds unattractive and then tell himself one day she might be pretty. He will just go with a woman that's pretty right now. And if that's not you, he will just move on. So all this, one day he's going to have money. Girl, that's still giving pickme. I'm scared. You don't have that time to waste. What your man will be one day, there's a man who is that today, right now. Yeah? And the only thing that's stopping you from being with the man who has it today is your fear of being alone. You're scared to let go of this guy. And you know what the mistake is? This is where the male-centeredness comes in again. A lot of women overinvest in a man way too soon. So that's why they're waiting for him to have money one day, because they've already invested themselves in him. They've invested emotionally. They've invested financially. And they have invested their time in this man. So they are now waiting to get their return on their investment. That's why they're saying one day he's going to have money. That's why they can't just walk away. Now, there's a lesson in this, right? The lesson here is when you're in the early stages of liking a guy or getting to know a guy and you're growing fond of him, that is the period where you need to be the most observant of his behavior. If you're male-centered, this will go over your head because you're so desperate to have a boyfriend. You're so desperate to have a man to call your own that you're not going to be using the first period of getting to know him as an opportunity to pay attention to his intentions and whether they line up with his behavior. You're going to just be seeing the good in everything. Yeah, Pisces. Because it really be Pisces women. Sorry for the Pisces slander, but I got to say this before I carry on what I'm saying. Pisces women, you guys are insufferable. God. It really it's always a water sign. It's either a Pisces, a Scorpio, or a fucking Cancer. But mainly Pisces. And you know what it is, yeah? It's because Pisces are the optimistic dreamers. All right? They don't see rigid lines. They see possibility. They see understanding. They see empathy. They see spiritual meaning behind it all. Girl, you need to wrap that shit up. This is men we're dealing with. If you're a Pisces woman, you more than anybody else on the fucking zodiac wheel, you need to be focusing on being less male-centered, because that will ruin your life. Because Pisces women can stay through anything and it don't even benefit them anyway, but they'll still assign it some sort of magical meaning so that they won't think their time went to waste. That's you lot. But aside from Pisces, bruv, it's a lot of women, yeah? You see how I'm getting hot talking about this? It's a lot of women who, they will meet a man, right? It's the early stages. And instead of to see things for what they are, they see things for what they want it to be. Can you wake up? Don't let me come there and shake that wig off your head. Can you wake up now? Oh, come on, pour cold water on you. Let me tell you a scenario that happened, yeah? This was last year, 2024. There was a guy who how do I phrase this? Okay, look. We were friends, but there was some very nice sexual tension. You know me, I love a little sexual tension that I'm going to do nothing about. I love to edge a man. I love to revel in the sexual tension and do nothing about the sexual tension, because I'm not sleeping with you. When we see things for what they are versus what we want them to be, that's how you're able to weed out the weirdos, the cheap men, and the men who just want you as an ego stroke. But when you're male-centered, you refuse to see things for what they are. You see things for what you want them to be. When you're in the early stage of getting to know a guy, this is his test. Let him sit the test. Don't contaminate the results by interfering with the silence. You are supposed to use this as an opportunity to observe, unfiltered. Let him do him. Sit on your hands. Hold back from having to check in with guys. Stop doing all this nonsense checking in. Just checking in. Are you British Airways? Is this Heathrow Terminal 4? Checking in. Check what? Don't check in with it. Leave him there. Because what you need to see is how seriously he takes you, number one. Two, whether he respects you enough to tell you, I can't come, I'm so sorry, but I'll make it up to you. You know, you need to see all these things. When you're now checking in, you're interfering with the data, okay? You are contaminating the experiment, okay? That's like doing a science experiment and you're not wearing gloves, right? You're putting your dirty fingers inside the substance that's being examined, right? You're not going to get accurate results, are you? No. So when a man goes quiet on you, shh, hold your mouth. Quiet, Pim. Let him cook. Let him do his thing. Observe. Your job is to observe and trust your observations, okay? Male-centered women, they don't trust their observations. Male-centered women would rather believe a version of reality that doesn't exist than to see things for what they are. And the cycle continues for them. Yeah? Male-centered women, they will see a man being negligent and indifferent and they'll take it as, oh, he's, he definitely likes me. So much so that he just can't communicate his feelings. Men absolutely know how to communicate their feelings. Have you seen these people on their fucking podcasts? Have you seen them? They're all starting podcasts now, communicating their misogyny towards us. Have you seen a man when he's horny? He will not. If a man is horny, suddenly he'll find the words to tell you that he wants to sleep with you, right? So don't believe the hype of, oh, men can't communicate how they feel. Yes, they can, and they do every fucking day. That's why they're killing us. They're communicating how they feel about us. They fucking hate us, okay? Men hate us because they want to be with us and they can't be without us, and the codependency makes them uncomfortable and they wish they could control us, but they can't. They hate us. So you being male-centered is you being stupid. And when men recognize stupidity, they take advantage of it. That's why you can't afford to be male-centered. That's why you can't afford for him to get money one day. He needs to have the money now. Because look, if one day has actually got a date on it, like let's say there's money coming in for him, right? Like the check is going to clear in 2 months' time. Because, you know, in certain industries, you got to wait like 60 days to get your check. If you know that money is coming in, there's a date is coming in, that's different to you banking on the hope and fantasy that one day he might. Which one is might? You know, might. And who's to say that when he gets that money that he might get, that he's going to give you? God forgive me for laughing this hard, but some of you are well and truly cooked and you will get the life you deserve. Some of you deserve these men. I gotta be real. Some of you deserve these men because the way you ride out so hard to defend them when women like myself are talking about stop dating men who are still figuring it out. There's a time and a place for certain things in life. Sometimes there's a time to just figure things out. And that's not a time when you should be dating. I refuse this whole idea of, you know, people don't have to be perfect to be loved and to have a partner. That's true. But when people are saying you don't have to be perfect to have a partner, they're referring to a man who cannot even afford to keep a roof over his head, but he's trying to date. Why are you on a dating app? What dating experience are you giving to a woman? Because walking is not a date. Don't let me fucking hear that rubbish. Coffee? Grab coffee? Ew. I don't drink coffee, actually. That gives me a runny stomach. 1. 2, I'm not leaving my house to go sit on a fucking sticky table to hear you discuss shit that I don't care about. Coffee is for business. Coffee is for catching up with friends. So if you're inviting me to coffee, I'm going to take it that you want to be friends. And that's all I need to hear to make the observation that this isn't going to go anywhere because you're offering me coffee. Is that what you're trying to use to impress me? Coffee. That's crazy because if a man likes you, he will want to impress you. And it's not going to be coffee he'll recommend. No. Coffee is the lowest ball you could throw someone. I don't even know what's worse, coffee or a walk. I don't know because coffee, that gives me runny stomach and trapped gas. Walking, why am I walking? What, I'm going to be inhaling exhaust fumes on the high street to hear you discuss your rubbish I don't give a fuck about. No. Do you know what I want? I don't give a fuck how people think about this, yeah? You need to arrange a date in a nice venue. Yes. You know people are like, oh, I'm not the kind of girl who you need to take on a date to a dimly lit dinner with pretentious cutlery in an expensive venue. I'm the kind of girl who you can take for a walk and we can just be real. You know what? Fuck that. I'm the kind of girl, yes, I am the kind of girl who likes dimly lit dinner in a nice place. Yes. And sorry, if you like low effort dates, good. You're going to get a low effort man though. You get what you accept. There are still men who like to put effort into dates. Yes, it costs money to get to know me because I'm a valuable experience. And you know what? My value is incalculable. On an earthly level, there's no amount of money that could match my value, but we can start somewhere. And it's not walking and it's not coffee. Because the same women who be like, oh, my worth is infinite and cannot be assigned a monetary value are the same women who give themselves away to men for free. Based on this idea that, you know, our earthly interactions shouldn't be transactional. It is transactional. It's a man. Men are always transactional. He's being nice to you because he wants to sleep with you. He's not being nice to you because you're a nice person. Sorry, babe. Men are always transactional. They are almost always getting something out of being around you. Even if they're not sleeping with you, they're getting the ego stroke of being seen with you. Do you know that? Men are always transactional, so you need to be transactional back. Yeah? All this, I'm a simple girl. Yeah, we can tell. God forgive me. I saw it not just on Instagram, but like on TikTok as well. There was like a handful of women. I don't know how are they all having the same experience? Well, I know how for sure, but like a handful of women, yeah. And they made, you know, that post of like, it's Valentine's Day. My man didn't do anything for me on Valentine's Day. And you know what? That's fine because every day he shows me love. Okay, girl. So if he shows you love every day, why would he skip Valentine's Day? That's weird. I respect that you're trying to lie to yourself to make yourself feel better, but it's like, why did you come on the internet to tell us your man didn't do anything for you? That's crazy. That's yo, your man didn't do anything for you on Valentine's Day, and you've come to tell us what should we do? You're trying to make it some sort of morally righteous post. Like, yeah, my man didn't do anything for me on Valentine's Day, but you know what? It's a consumerist holiday anyway. And you know what? Every day he shows me he loves me in the little ways. You know, sometimes he will wash the plates when I'm too tired. You know, sometimes he watches the kids while I nap. You know, sometimes he will do the grocery run. And that to me is a loving man. So I don't need Valentine's Day because it's capitalism. Okay, girl, if you say so. You don't need Valentine's Day, you need a new man. That's crazy. That's crazy. I saw multiple posts like that on Valentine's Day and I'm like, guys, blink twice if you need help. That's a cry for help. I'm scared. I'm worried. I'm concerned. So you could not beat that information out of me. You could take me to Guantanamo Bay. I'm not confessing that my man did nothing for me on Valentine's Day. That's crazy. Why is he my man? So does that make sense? Does that make sense though? Every day he's romantic towards you, but then February 14th he decides to not. But then February 15th he goes back to being romantic. That doesn't make any sense. That man swears that he don't like Valentine's Day because he doesn't want to be romantic. That's crazy. That's what? But it's the male-centered women who get men like that. That's what you end up with. You end up with a man who you got to be making excuses for. God forbid I date a man who I have to make excuses for. I don't give a fuck what you call it, capitalism. Because you know what? It's only capitalism when a man is spending money on you. But when he's buying a game pack for Fortnite, when he's buying PlayStation, when he's buying that stupid useless Carhartt trouser that he doesn't need to be buying, it's not capitalism. But when he's spending money on you, it's capitalism. It's almost to imply that it's capitalism when he's spending the money wastefully. So when he's spending money on you, it's wasteful. What does that say about how you view yourself? What does that say about how he views you? What does that say about how you view what you deserve? I'm just saying. That's why this conversation about male-centeredness ties in with Valentine's Day and how deeply sad I feel when I see women say their man didn't do anything for them on Valentine's Day because he's not romantic and he doesn't believe in it. And then you're forcing yourself to go along with it when you secretly like a man who's romantic. Why are you pretending that you don't like romance? That's how you talk yourself out of your own needs. It's okay to have needs. It's okay to say, you know what, I like a romantic man. Because you know me, I like a romantic man. Okay? If I was in a relationship, we are absolutely taking part in Valentine's Day. Yes, we are. Yes, we bloody are. You better have made that reservation. I want something nice to wear. I want a cute gift experience. Notice how I said gift experience. I didn't say I want cute gift experience, because that means it might be more than one gift. It should be more than one gift. Yes. And cash should be included because I like cash. Know what you like and declare it with your chest, because there are people who will understand what you like and they'll be happy to do it. The people who cannot afford it are people who will make you feel like what you're asking for is ridiculous and inhumane. Of course, a broke man will find it inhumane that you like money. Women cost money, okay? Find the one you can afford and go from there. Yeah? I'm going to wrap this up. But before I wrap, I want to remind you that I've got Patreon. Do you know what Patreon is? Patreon.com/the-Slumflower is a platform where you can access bonus episodes, a fire-popping ass group chat that moves at the speed of light, full of women who are disobedient and empowering and emboldening each other to remain headstrong on their journey of finding better for themselves in the realm of dating men. That's right. Plus, you can access a 64-page guide called the Dilemma Manual for free on the Patreon, which is where I take anonymized entries that have been given to me and I discuss in detail how I would handle those scenarios. Why I love the Patreon is because it gives me a space to talk about the shit that people would cook me for on this podcast. Because a lot of people who see my thoughts online, especially the snippets that I post from the podcast on Instagram, it really gets them upset because they're not used to seeing a woman who is black actually have self-worth and exemplify it in motion. So the Patreon is a place where we can really just be ourselves and talk our shit and share ideas without the men seeing it. See it as your secret underground railroad to the life you want. So if you're interested, patreon.com/the Slumflower. Thank you for listening. And as always, I will catch you in the next episode.